Good morning to all you awesome people. I welcome you all on our YouTube channel JPSC Simplified. Let's crack JPSC. So, my dear friend, in today's lecture, we will continue with the Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act of 1949. In the last two lectures, we have seen the introduction portion of Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act of 1949 and the section 1 and section 2 of the SPT Act, and in today's lecture we will see section 3 and section 4 of the SPT Act. So let's begin. Section number 3, it talks about the Rayyat. Okay, what section number 3 gives you? So section number 3, it gives you information about Rayyats, and section number 3, it starts with clause number 12 and ends with clause number 26. So, in clause number 12, it is mentioned about the classes of Rayyats. So, there are basically three classes of Rayyats. They are residential, Jamabandi Rayyats, non-resident Jamabandi Rayyats, and we have new Rayyats. Okay. So, what is resident Jamabandi Rayyat? So, resident Jamabandi Rayyats are the persons recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats who reside or have their family residence in the village in which they are recorded. Okay, that is persons who are recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats and they reside or have their family residence in the village in which they are recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats. They are known as resident Jamabandi Rayyats. Okay. Now, non-resident Jamabandi. So, the persons recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats but don't reside or have their family residence in the village they are recorded, they are known as non-resident Jamabandi Rayyats. And the third category of new Rayyats, it means persons recorded as Naya Rayyats or Nutan Rayyats. They are known as new Rayyats. So we have seen three category of Rayyats. One is resident Jamabandi Rayyats, second non-resident Jamabandi Rayyats, and third is new Rayyats. Resident Jamabandi Rayyats are the person who are recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats in one village and they reside in that very village or have their family in that very village in which they are recorded. Okay, non-resident Jamabandi Rayyats, they are recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats in a village but they don't reside or have their family resident in the village in which they are recorded as Jamabandi Rayyats. They are known as non-Jamabandi Rayyats, and third category is of new Rayyats. They are the persons recorded as Naya Rayyats or Nutan Rayyats. Okay, so this was clause number 13 under section number 3 of the SPT Act. Now clause number 14, it tells about order of Rayyat can't be ignored except order of deputy commissioner. Except whose order? Order of deputy commissioner. So this type of questions will be asked to you in the examination. Like they will give you that order of the Rayyat can't be ignored except whose order. Okay, and they will give you four options like the landlord, commissioner, SDO, and deputy commissioner. So you should know that except on the order of deputy commissioner, order of Rayyat can't be ignored. Okay, so I think I have missed out clause number 13. Okay, so let's see the clause number 13 first. Then we will move to clause number 15. Okay, because we have seen clause number 14, we have seen clause number 12. Now clause number 13, it talks about rights of Rayyats towards the use of land. So Rayyat can use the land as has been used traditionally, but land cost should not be depreciated. Okay, so the Rayyat who acquires the land from the landlord, he can use the land traditionally as it has been used. That is, if the land has been used for agriculture, he should use it for agriculture. He is not allowed to make any multiplex or any building on the agricultural land. Okay, and he should use it in such a way that land cost should not be depreciated. So this was all about clause number 13. Now we will move to clause number 15. Clause number 15, it says rights of Rayyat regarding making of bricks and cloth. Okay, it talks about rights of Rayyat regarding making of bricks and cloth in the particular land. Okay, now clause number 16, it talks about Rayyat's right regarding holding of land for fishing and appraising of land. Clause number 17, it talks about right of Rayyat, planting of tree on own land. Clause number 18, it talks about Rayyat's right to erect buildings. Clause number 19, it talks about division of holding and distribution of rent, that is with landlords or Mool Rayyat's agreement. Okay. Now, clause number 20, it talks about transfer of Rayyat's rights. That is, right to transfer should be recorded in the record of rights. Okay. So, if any Rayyat want to transfer his rights to other person or other Rayyat, he should record it in the record of rights. So, that is mentioned in clause number 20. Now we will see clause number 21. So in clause number 21, transfer of Rayyati land by Bhugut Band or complete a structuary mortgage by a non-aboriginal Rayyat and its limits is mentioned. Okay, so transfer of Rayyati land by Bhugut Band or complete a structuary mortgage by a non-aboriginal Rayyat and its limits is mentioned in clause number 21. So if you want to know what is Bhugut Band or what is a structuary mortgage, I have explained it in the earlier lecture. So please go and refer to that lecture. Okay. Now, clause number 22. Clause number 22 mentions a Rayyat may make over his holding temporarily on trust for cultivation. A Rayyat may make over his holding temporarily on trust for cultivation. That is, a Rayyat's temporary absence from the village, his sickness or physical incapacity, loss of bluff cattle due to any cause beyond his control, and the Rayyat being a widow or minor. Okay. Now, clause number 23, it mentions Rayyats desiring to exchange their lands may apply in writing to the deputy commissioner who may, in his discretion, permit. So, a question may be asked to you that if a Rayyat want to exchange their lands, they will write it to whom? And they will give you four options: to the landlord, to the subdivisional officer, to the commissioner, or to the deputy commissioner. So you should remember that they should write to the deputy commissioner. Okay. Now clause number 24, it mentions about registration of certain transfers of Rayyati holdings. Okay, that is registration in the office of landlord of the village, that is where registration of certain transfers of Rayyati holdings will take place. So registration will take place in the office of landlord of the village. Okay, that is mentioned in clause number 24. Now in clause number 25, payment of landlord's registration fee etc. compulsorily at the time of registration of a deed of gift or sale of a Rayyati holding or a person thereof is mentioned in clause number 25. And clause number 26, it talks about effect of registration. Okay, so this was all about section 3. It mentions about the rayats and different provisions related to rayats, their transfer of the land, their registration of the land, and other provisions. So go through that and you will be able to remember it very easily. Okay. Now, section number 4, it talks about wasteland and their management. Clauses that comes under these sections are from clause number 27 to clause number 42. Now, clause number 27, it talks about settlement of wasteland to be made by patta in prescribed form. What does clause number 27 talks about? Settlement of wasteland to be made by patta in prescribed form. Okay, and for that purpose, 4 copies of patta should be prepared, one to the Rayat, one to Deputy Commissioner, one to landlord, and one to village headman or Mool Rayat. So a question may be asked to you that how many copies of patta is prescribed under SPT Act? So you know that 4 copies, and to whom? One is to Rayat, one is to Deputy Commissioner, one is to landlord, and one is to village headman or the Mool Rayat. Okay. Now we will go to clause number 28. Clause number 28 talks about principles to be followed in settling wasteland or vacant holdings. Okay. Now clause number 29, it talks about a Mool Rayyat Pradhan or village headman not to settle wasteland or vacant holding with himself or co-Mool Rayyat without previous sanction in writing of the deputy commissioner. That is, clause number 29 mentions that a Mool Rayyat, Pradhan or village headman cannot settle wasteland or vacant holding between them. Okay, they have to acquire previous sanction in writing of the deputy commissioner to settle a wasteland. Okay, so they are not permitted to settle wasteland on their own. Okay. Now, clause number 30, it talks about vacant holding can't be subdivided for the purpose of settlement without the consent of the landlord and approval of the deputy commissioner. So it is not that the Mool Rayyat, Pradhan and village headman together they will be able to subdivide any settlement which is a wasteland. Okay, they have to acquire the consent of the landlord and also the approval of the deputy commissioner in order to do this. Okay. Now clause number 31, it talks about 2 or more village headmen, co-Mool Rayyat or landlords to settle wasteland jointly. Okay, that 2 or more village headmen, co-Mool Rayyats or landlords to settle wasteland jointly. Now, clause number 32, it talks about objection before deputy commissioner against settlement of wasteland or vacant holdings. That is, if anybody is not approving the distribution of the wasteland, so if he has any objection, he will object or he will raise his objection before deputy commissioner. Okay, so this type of question will be asked to you in the examination, that if anybody has any objections regarding allocation of wasteland, so where he will raise his objection? They will give you 4 options, that in civil court, in the court of commissioner, in the court of subdivisional officer, and before deputy commissioner. So where he will raise his objection? Before deputy commissioner. Okay. Then we have clause number 33. Clause number 33, it talks about settlement of wasteland liable to be set aside if not cultivated within 5 years. So what happens that if a wasteland is allotted to you and you will not use that wasteland for 5 years, then that wasteland will be set, that wasteland would be allocated to some other person. So a question may be asked to you in the examination that what is the tenure for which a wasteland, if not cultivated, or within what tenure a wasteland, if not cultivated, will be allocated to some other person. So within 5 years you should cultivate the wasteland, otherwise it will allocated to some other person. Okay. So this type of very easy questions will be asked to you. So you don't have to remember, and you will not be able to remember all the 72 clauses, but if you read these clauses 2 3 times, you will be able to gauge what is written on those clauses. Okay, and that will be asked to you. Just you have to uh, you don't have you will just have to recognize what I have written in the what I have studied in that clause. You don't have to mug up that clause. Okay, so let's proceed to clause number 34. Deputy Commissioner may set aside wasteland for Jahir Khan, burning or burial ground. So Deputy Commissioner has the right to set aside a wasteland for Jahir Khan, burning or as a burial ground. Okay, so who has the power? It is Deputy Commissioner. Okay. Now, clause number 35, it talks about water reservoirs and channels for irrigation, etc., not to be cultivated, converted to other purposes. That is, water reservoirs and channels for irrigation, not to be cultivated or converted to other purposes. It is mentioned in clause number 35. Now, what clause number 36 tells? Clause number 36 tells you that rivulets, nalas on the boundaries of village, burning and burial grounds, camping grounds, boundary marks, paths and places of worship not to be settled. That is, these properties like rivulets, nalas on the boundaries of villages, burning and burial grounds, camping grounds, boundary marks, paths and places of worship, they are public property and they will not be settled. That is, they will not be allocated to some riots. Okay, they are public property and everyone will have equal access to this. Okay, now we'll move forward to clause number 37. Clause number 37, it tells us that all riots have right to graze their own cattle within the village on the recorded grazing land and on the grazing land set apart by deputy commissioners. Okay, that all riots have their right to graze their cattle in their own respective land holdings, as well as they have permission or they have right to graze their cattle on the grazing land set aside by deputy commissioner. Okay, now clause number 38, it tells us about grazing land shall not be cultivated. Okay, that if any land is demarcated as a grazing land by deputy commissioner, so that land will be used for the purpose of grazing only, that will not be used for cultivation. Okay, now clause number 39, it speaks about riots right to excavate tanks, etc., other than their holdings. Okay, clause number 40, it talks about right of fishery in a khas tank not to interfere with riots right. That is, right of a fishery in a khas tank not to interfere with riots rights. This is mentioned in clause number 40. Clause number 41, it speaks that no settlement of vacant holding in Pahadia village with a non-Pahadia. Okay, so in a Pahadia village, no settlement of vacant holding will take place with a non-Pahadia. That is, Pahadia settlement will be allocated to a Pahadia person only. It will not be allocated to a non-Pahadia person. Now, clause number 42, it speaks about ejectment of a person in unauthorized possession of agricultural land. So provisions of ejectment of a person in unauthorized possession of agricultural land is mentioned in clause number 42. Okay. So in today's lecture, we saw about section number 3 and section number 4. Section number 3 talked about the rayats and their different provisions, and section number 4 it talked about the wasteland and its management. Okay, so this was all about in today's lecture. In the next lecture we will see section number 5 and section number 6, and in the subsequent lecture we will cover section number 7, section number 8 and section number 9, and in this way we will cover the whole Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act of 1949, and in the subsequent lecture in the next lectures we will cover CNT Act and also the land acts of different states, as well as some other land acts of Jharkhand like your Wilkinson rule, and there are 2 3 more acts, so that we will cover in the subsequent lectures. Till then, read, revise, enjoy. Thank you.